The recording has started. Okay, great. So yeah, so welcome everyone. I forgot to start recording. Sorry. So yeah, as I was saying, this is week 9 of our computing with Python course. So we are reaching the end of the course. So again, it's a cumulative course. So you will be using all the things you're learning from week 1 to week 9 together. We try not to see these in isolation. So yeah, as I said, all the recordings and the slides of the various classes will be available on my GitHub. The recordings are in YouTube and the slides as well as the Python programs are there in the Google Drive. Although I do, as always encourage you guys to try it out yourself, and that's why I give that time during the class also. So this week you saw some interesting things, some more, little, different things, which is, you saw about what is natural language processing. You saw what's Network X, which is a module in Python for dealing with, graphs and networks, which is a very nice way of representing the relationships between various things. And that's where the 6 degrees of separation idea comes in. You also saw a way to do area calculation that doesn't rely on putting in a mathematical formula, and which is very useful when you have, say, a very irregular shape or something like that. The area calculation that you did was just to remind you, based on sampling various random points and seeing how many of them lie within a particular space or not. So you're sampling within a probability space. That's a very powerful technique, and it has, of course, as you can imagine, as a physicist, this sort of Monte Carlo sampling of the parameter space is what is being done when we try to learn about the properties of a large number of molecules or a large number of particles which are present in a system. So understanding these things, again, with programming, it's like you learn a set of things, or you don't even learn a set of rules. You learn how to think. And then it's up to you to apply that thinking pattern into different places. That's why doing programs in the early stages, very important for you to sit and code. Because only when you sit and code, you will realize many things and you will realize that you're going down wrong, right? It's very nice to hear someone or see someone code, but that will not help us so much, okay? Again, this slide I've been including in all my in all my week's lectures, because it's a good reason. Because I see so many people who code, but they don't know how to code efficiently, or they don't know how to code in a way that makes it readable not only to themselves but to others. So try to, it's always easy to learn something learn a good habit than it is to unlearn a bad habit. So that's why I include this. So try to be consistent with your program names and all that, so that it's all neat, so that tomorrow if someone asks you for your programs, you can give it to them and you don't have to explain, or you have to explain very minimally. That should be your goal with programming, right? So you saw this week about natural language processing. Essentially, this is, as you can see from the flow chart, it's a combination of, various fields of, coming together in one thing. So there's computer science, artificial intelligence, and human language. Artificial intelligence is, of course, like a big buzzword nowadays. People are always talking about AI and machine learning everywhere. But in the scenario of NLP, particularly, I am not an expert, but what you will find is a lot of the places where people talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, a lot of it is, boils down to pattern recognition. And NLP is a very particular subfield of computer science, where you're actually looking at pattern recognition, which has to do with the human language. So you saw some examples of this. For example, when you look through a text and you try to understand what is the average number of words in that text, or, what is the writing style, you can, find out, right? When I write something and you write an original work, they will definitely look a little different, because my style of writing is going to be a little different than yours. And if you, take Shakespeare's writings and, Jane Austen's writings, and you analyze them, you will find that each of them have their own unique personality to the writing. So a lot of artificial intelligence, or I should say a lot of machine learning, comes down to pattern recognition and identifying patterns. Of course, it's important what you then do to, do with the patterns you recognize, and also how you actually recognize the patterns. That can be extremely complex, and that's why that's such a booming field. Of course, one of the simplest examples of NLP that you use, maybe without realizing, is your voice activated assistants, right? Which are in your phone. So you have your Siri, which is for your iOS devices. You have Alexa, which is Amazon's voice assistant. You have OK Google, which I don't know if it has a name. And then, you have, I think Samsung's is called Cortana or whatever. So there's a lot of different, no, Cortana is Microsoft. Samsung has another name. So, you have a lot of voice assistants, right? Those are a simple example of, natural language processing, which is interfacing computer science with human language for certain applications. So this is what you saw this week. And apart from that, as I said, you saw all these graphs and, all those things. So again, these are all techniques. So at this point, you have learned all the basic stuff, right? You've learned how the bare bones of Python you have already learned. You know how to reasonably code up things, and you know how structures and variables, functions, those work in Python. So now the idea is for you to learn some more specialized things. And as I said, even though they seem specialized, they have wide applicability. Like the Monte Carlo method we are talking about has wide applicability in physics. Like that NLP is, a very booming industry. So right now what you're learning, you're learning very specific applications like image processing, natural language processing. You're learning these specific applications, and I think that's really great that in the second half of the course, you're learning the specific application, because it kind of shows you that, the thing that we should all realize, which is that programming has a place for everyone, and everyone has a place for programming. So basically, whatever you do in your life, you will have some way or the other where you can interface programming with it. So that's why it's important not to become expert in all these techniques. No one person can become expert in everything, but you should be able to have the logic. You should be able to know how to approach a program or approach a problem. Tomorrow someone, we want to solve a problem, you have to know how to start. Right? Starting doesn't mean that I write definition function of XYZ. Starting means that I take a, usually, the way you do it is you take a pen and paper, right? You take a pen and paper and you make a flow chart, or you make a thing. This will be my input. This should be my output. I will test with these cases. So that kind of logic is how you should understand. Okay. Even when you come across a program of pre-written code, suppose I give you a code and you have to figure out what to do, which is what we do in a lot of our assignment problems. That also is a skill, because a lot of the times you will find that you are working with someone else's program. It's important that we are not only able to write code but read code, and for that we need to understand logic, right? You can write very beautiful code that only you understand, and if you understand, it's fine. But if the logic is not clear even to you, then it's a problem, right? So it's just about coding and all that. So let's as usual, let's do some questions. I think there are only 6 people in the chat today. Maybe towards the end of the class, so people are okay, someone's joining. So as usual, I'll monitor the chat. I'll try to monitor the chat from my phone, although sometimes that doesn't work. And you guys just put the answers in the chat and we can discuss. Okay, so let me see. So the first question, what is stylometry? This is related to the stuff you discussed in week 9. Please put your answers in the chat. Okay, one person says B. Others? I think only few people are there, so everyone can answer. That will be a good thing if everyone can answer. Okay, one more B. Okay, great, good. People are answering B. I'll give you one more minute. I see people are typing.
So the programming screencast that we have in the videos, I I have issues with running one or two of them. So can we discuss those also in this session?
Sorry, what do you have difficulty in understanding?
So the programming screencast that is there in the videos, in the weekly videos,
Uh,
my code is not running. So can I share my screen and discuss that also in this one?
okay, so which program is this?
So this is the area estimation one.
Okay, okay. Yeah, maybe you can share your screen. Then okay, yeah, let's first look at that then before going to the rest of the questions. We can spend a few minutes. So yeah, this is B. You guys knew. So maybe Vandana, you can share your screen. So that's why I ask you guys to mail me in advance because this will be useful, right? Then I can also look at it beforehand. Then it'll be good for me when I'm preparing. Okay, so next time you have something like this, I share my mail ID in all every week's thing. So you can just mail me a few days in advance and say that I want to discuss this. Then I will also look at it beforehand because I have not looked at this program in detail. But yeah, you please share your screen and let's try to figure it out together. Okay.
Yeah, in screen sharing, I am having options of Chrome tab, window, entire screen.
Okay, maybe I
So,
should stop sharing and then you can share. Okay.
okay.
Are you able to share? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Are you able
Yes,
to share?
now, yes.
Okay.
So
Great.
uh, yeah, so you can see my screen now.
Yes, yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah, so this was the programming screencast.
Uh-huh.
I have followed exactly the same steps uh,
Okay.
for
Can
for
you just run it and say what is the error that comes?
yeah, so the error is like so this is the area of India that is given 328 7263
Right.
this. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but the area of Punjab that is coming even more than that. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Can you just run it once and then we'll see. So
Yeah,
you're saying the program is working. It's
yeah,
just the answer is wrong. Is that the issue you're having?
yeah. See this answer
Okay.
that is coming, it's much more
Hmm.
than the area. Like, how can the area of the state be
Yeah,
more
yeah,
than
I
the
understand. No, no, that makes sense. Uh, okay. Using RGB values. So these RGB values are right, no? That you have because those are the colors, right, of the map
yeah.
shaded region. Yeah. So those are correct, right?
Yeah, so these RGB values I got from this image.
In the
Yeah, this
meantime, because
image.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Uh, Please show this
So
image. I
yeah,
see. Okay. And
so actually in the programming screencast, they have used a different image and they told that we'll be sharing the link for this image, but they have not shared
mhm.
neither the image nor the link. So this was the image I could get from Google. So I
Okay.
used this
So
image,
that's what.
but
So so red RGB color you have used and this gray color you have used correctly, right? Those values are important. That's why I'm asking you.
yeah, so yeah, I took the RGB values online. Like, how do we calculate the RGB values?
I'm
Uh,
also not very sure about that. We can look it up. I'm sure there's some online resource to do it.
okay. Because RGB values, what I know, they should be three digits, like separated by commas, but they were using the
Yeah, yeah,
single
yeah,
digit.
yeah. That I know that because one will be the value of red, one will be value of green and blue. So that's why it's three digits. So I think there are
Yeah,
color pickers online. I'm just like searching online and I can find some results about how to get RGB values. There must be some way to get it. Websites must be set up. So how did
yeah,
you do it right now? This 102 and 255, how did you get it?
yeah. So I searched on Google like the RGB value for red and the RGB value for gray.
But that's not very specific, right? Red itself can be different kinds of red. So you
Yeah.
understand my point. So that might
So
not be very
so
specific.
so I had uploaded the image in this color pixel thing, and
Okay,
there
color
also
picker,
it
yeah.
was giving, yeah, it was giving three digits. So I
Mhm.
chose the greatest one. Like for red, it was giving 0 comma 0 comma 255. So I took 255.
Okay, I'm not very sure. So, has anyone else tried the program in the class? Has anyone else tried it, and anyone else who's facing similar kind of issue or something like that? One, then I'll keep sharing your screen. Maybe that will be better. Uh, any other people who have tried this and are facing kind of this issue or something like that? Okay, I think the issue is with the RGB, but let's do a quick check. Can you just, in your if statements, can you just give prints? So that print of count of India and print of count of Punjab. Just can you give inside your if statements? Okay, you have two if statements, right?
Yeah. So here,
So one thing I don't understand, and again, I didn't run this code myself. I just looked at the thing. Uh, Is there why is there a if statement for India? Okay, because the rest of it is white. Yeah, yeah. It can't just be the full thing. Yeah, okay, okay, no problem. Just like give two print statements, one for print of count of India and print of count of Punjab. This might give a lot of lines. If that's the case, we'll give it outside. But first, give it inside the if loop, and then we'll see. Okay, okay, this doesn't help that much. Okay, one sec. This does not help that much. Maybe, okay. Can you give the print statements outside the loop then? Because I can't differentiate which is India and which is Punjab. That's why.
oh, the same statement.
Yeah, yeah. Just print of count of India and count of Punjab. Just give it before your area of Punjab. In that line, you give it. Outside the loop. I want to see the final values.
Okay.
Okay, so your count of India is less somehow. And
Yeah.
I think it's because of your RGB. Okay, let me just search this. 102, right? You gave. It looks like gray only, but I don't know how accurate this will be. It'll be better if you can get a. Hmm. Okay, I think this has something to do with the RGB values only. It should be that the flow of the program looks fine to me. I don't know why that is the case. So
Yeah,
you don't think.
in the programming screencast, they have not explained why, like they are taking a single value for RGB, because when we search, RGB is having like three values separated by comma.
One for R, one for
Wha-
GM. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not like, I don't use RGB code, so I'm not very sure what is the nomenclature. Maybe there is a way to like, maybe it's like you can collapse it into one value somehow. So yeah, I have to look this up. So that's why these kinds of things you kind of, okay, one sec.
yeah, but in the screencast, they didn't explain like why are they taking a single digit, how was it taken. So,
Yeah, one sec. I'm just trying to find it. Anything if I can find it. RGB three-digit color codes. Mm, yeah, I think it will be better if you ask them for the original photo and then try with their photo once, just to see if the program is right. I'll try to find something about the RGB. If you can't find it, you just ask them about that as well. Okay, that will be better. Because I don't know much about this RGB thing. If you had told me before the class, I would have read something about it and come. But right now, I can't find anything
It's
immediately. That's the thing.
it's
Hello?
okay. Maybe next. I'm saying it's okay. Maybe next week we can
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
discuss this.
Okay, that will be better. In meantime, why don't you try putting in the discussion forum also and ask them for the picture? So the reason I'm saying ask for the picture is to get the picture and you're still not getting it, that means code has something issue. But as I see it, I think I looked at the code looks fine. I think it's the RGB issue. And the picture you have, it's not just gray, right? There are some written things also on it. So I don't know how much that will affect. I know it's not a very significant area, but still. So I
Yeah,
don't know how those things can affect or something like that. I'm not a very much expert on this. That's why I'm not able to say immediately. Anyways, anyone else in the chat in the room, I'm again asking if anyone else has tried this and you have faced similar issue or you know what to do. Please like suggest in the chat or you can tell. And I see that please put it in the discussion forum. Next week by next week, I'll also try to look at this in the meantime. Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So let's go back for now to the regularly scheduled thing. Okay, so we looked at the first question, which is about stylometry. So we already saw this, as I said, when is my okay. Hello? Yeah, I think my
Yeah,
internet
yeah.
is dipping.
Now the screen is visible.
Okay, okay. So just let me know if my internet is having any issue. I'll also check. Okay. Right. So let's go back. If my internet continues to have issue, I'll switch off my video. Okay, great. So let's go to the next question. So this is another, theory question kind of thing. What are the different attributes you can check in addition to average word length to identify the style of a particular author? So like Shakespeare versus Austen kind of thing I said. It's a multiple select question, so there are multiple answers which are possible for this. Please put your answers in the chat. Okay, great. I see Vana says all of them. Others also please interact and answer. Okay, Shashank says D. Any other answers? There are only few of you in the chat, so I want all of you to answer. All, okay. Could be C. Okay, yeah. So the answer is actually all of them. All of these are hallmarks of, a particular writing style, right? Some people might be overly fond of writing very long sentences, putting a lot of commas, certain words may be used, and so on. So these can all be attributes to check the style of an author. So all of these together can help to identify author uniquely. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, so this is a coding based question. This is again multiple select question. So this is a following code which tries to perform a natural language analysis for a small piece of text without using the library, the natural language toolkit. So just select which are all the correct statements. Just try to identify what this piece of code is doing. You will immediately get the answer to the questions. Okay. So I'll give you some time. Please try to work it out and put it in the chat. I don't think it's very hard. Just look at what it's doing, what X, Y, Z are. Then you'll automatically understand and get what is the answer that you require. Again, multiple answers are correct here. It's a multiple select question. So not only one option, many options could be correct. Okay. Again, Vanya says all of the options. Others, okay. Shraddha says all. Others, I want to see at least few more people answer. All except D. Okay, maybe you can go to the answer. So the answer is actually all of them. So I think you understand what this code does, right? Can anyone tell me what this code does? What is a code doing?
So, in this code, like the text natural language processing using Python, it's being split. Like every word is being
No,
split.
no, no, no. You don't need to explain each and every line. What is the goal of this code? What is the what
Okay.
do you what is this trying to achieve?
Yeah.
What
So
is the
in the
output?
end, in the end, we are printing y, which is the sum of all the words, the total number of words in this string, and z, it's giving the average, like.
So sum of all the letters, basically, how many letters are there in the text, and also what is the average? Uh, yeah, sorry, not sum of letters. Sorry, sum of the words, as you said, and what is the average? No, no. Y is the sum of the all the letters, right? Or the sum of each of the lengths, and then what is the average length of each of the words, right? So someone said that all of them are correct except D. So why do you think D is wrong? What should be the output of the code? Basically, yeah, it is correct. So, okay. So after seeing the answer, you changed your mind. Because if you feel like it's wrong, we can just check it very quickly, right? So how many letters are there? That is only your Y, right? And X is a list, as the option correctly tells you. It is basically, it will store, so NATURAL. So natural has how many letters? It has 7 letters. Language has 8 letters. So it will store a list which is like 7, 8, how many ever letters that is, 5, 6, right? So it will be a list of how many letters each word has, and y is the total number of letters all the words have. So you're just dividing y by the length, by how many words there are. So how many words are there in this string? Guys, how many words are there in this string?
36.
No. How many words are there in this string? That is
Okay,
number of
words
letters.
are five, five, five.
Huh. So then, if I now do 36 by 5, I get 7.2. So that's why Z is 7.2, because the average number of letters in each word. Okay, so don't be confused between the letters and words. Okay. Okay, I hope you all understood. Okay, so now next question is like one, I think we have done this kind of question before. This is basically a piece of code is given to you. You have to analyze the code, and if there is any error, you have to reply with which line has the error, right? So line number 1, 2, 3. So the numbering is given here, right? So if you don't find any error, just just give your answer to be -1. So basically, what is this code trying to do? It's calculating average sentence length for a given block of text in the form of a file, assuming that sentence is always end. So before we were calculating word length, average word length in a sentence. Now we are trying to calculate average sentence length in the form of a file, assuming that the sentence always ends with full stop and there are no ellipses. So why is this important? Because if we know that they only end in full stops, you can use full stop to divide the text into multiple sentences, right? If there are ellipses in between, we have to give that as an extra condition. But luckily, they have told us already that there are no ellipses in the text. There's only full stops. Okay. But this code might contain errors. So identify line number which you feel has an error. If you don't find any error, put your answer as -1. Okay. So this code is, again, I'm saying this code is to calculate average sentence length. Before we were calculating average word length. Okay. So this is like the same concept only, the same funda, but applied to multiple sentences instead of one sentence. So please put your answers in the chat. So this is a number type question. So you have to answer either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or if you don't find any error, put -1. Okay, I can only see one person who has answered. Others, can you please answer in the chat? I'll give you some time. Okay, both of you find no errors. Any other answers, people? Any other answers, guys? So, okay. So tell me, what should be the formula for finding the average sentence length? So for let's remember what we did for sorry, average word length, right? We took the sum of all the letters, then we counted how many such words are there, right? So we took all the sum of all the letters. So there are 36 letters. We can count them. You can count them and check there are 36 letters. Then we checked how many words are there so that we can find out what is the average number of letters in each word. Basically, that's what we were trying to do. So in that sense, if we are trying to find the average number, average sentence length, we should take the number of letters in each sentence. So number of letters in all the words divided by number of words was the average word length. If I give the same logic for average sentence length, same funda if I use, then it should be all the number of letters in this text again, but divided by number of sentences, right? So does this do that? Because length of text, what does it do? Length of text just takes the entire file, right? I don't want that. I only want the number of sentences in the text. So I should use that. So this is actually not correct. Okay, so this line is wrong. Does everyone understand what I'm trying to say? The length of, we are dividing by the entire text. That's not what I want. I want to divide by number of sentences. Then only it makes sense, right? When I take average, I want to average out by the based on the number of sentences. Yes. So here we are trying to find the average sentence length. Remember, we're not finding the average word length. That is different, right? So we want to find, does the average sentence have 5 words or 8 words or 7 words or something else, right? So are there short sentences, long sentences, or middle sentences? That's how, if you average out, you'll find the number, right? So that's why answer the fifth question, fifth line of code is wrong because of this part. Okay, do you guys understand? If you don't understand, I encourage you, try to put this in just put it in Python, write it yourself. It's only 5 lines, 6 lines of code. Write a sentence, right? And see if it's calculate, write not one sentence. We want to calculate average sentence length. So write 2 or 3 short sentences, right? There is a cat. Cat is dead or something like that. So then you can find out what's the average sentence length and see if it matches up. Okay. So this is the exercise for you. So I hope you all understood why there is an error in this. So again, this is correct if you want to find the average word length. That's not what we want to find. We want to find the average sentence length. That is different. Okay. Even though they seem like the same thing, it is a little different. And that's why we have to be careful. Read the questions carefully. So, okay, next question. What does the following code do? So this is using Network X. You saw Network X this week. It's a module in Python, which what does Network X do? What is it used for? Anyone? It was there in this week's, like, yeah, graphs and networks, right? So you can see the relationships between things. So not graphs as in plotting, that's matplotlib. Graphs as in representing the relationships between different things. Right. So this is a piece of code which uses network X. So what does this code finally do? What is created by the code? Please put your answers in the chat. Okay. One person says C. Others? Okay, one more person says C. Give one more minute in case someone's answering. Actually, maybe we can go to the solution. I just noticed the time. We should do the programs also. Maybe I'll go to the solution. People, please answer these kinds of questions faster. Then we can go to all of them. So the answer is actually B. Do you guys see why it's B? One sec, one sec, one sec, one sec. It should be A, right? One sec. I think it's A, not B. Give me a second. Let me just check the. I think it should be A. The answer is A. Yeah, I marked it wrongly. But yeah, do you guys see where you went wrong? Let me just change it in this slide. Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, am I back? Hello, am I back? I got disconnected for a bit. Am I back? Am I back? Hello?
We can hear you, but your screen is not visible.
Okay, I think it got disconnected. Let me switch off my camera because the internet is not good today. Now can you see? So sorry, I made a mistake while putting it. It's not B, it's A. But point is that you guys said two of you only answered, two of you said C. So if we compare A and C, you can see that you both identified that there are five nodes because we start from one and the last number in range is never counted. So one, two, three, four, five. That's correct. But there are actually 10 edges. Okay. So the reason is because in the first pass you have to count from zero, right? You have to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 9. That's why it is the first time there is zero, right? And then you have to count. So that's why there are 10 edges, okay? Because you're including zero. Is this clear to you guys? You identified five nodes correctly, but there are actually 10 edges. Okay, great. And what does random dot sample do? So here basically, in case you don't know, this takes the two numbers at a time from this range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is our numbers. Two at a time it takes so that you can add edges between those two numbers. So basically adds 10 edges by taking two random nodes every time. Okay. So yeah, please be careful with these things like matrices, arrays, everything in Python starts from zero. So don't just count from one. That's what we're used to. You should try start counting from zero. Because in the first time there are no edges. So this length of g dot edges will give zero. So you should always count from zero. Okay. So this is a question which you guys should answer very quickly because it's just there's nothing to calculate or analyze. So there is a social network that you're analyzing where individuals are represented as nodes, friendships between them are represented as edges. So which is the most appropriate graph property to study the influential people in that network? What would you see as the essential property to study? Okay, Vandana says A. Any other answers? I'll give 1 minute in case someone else also answers. Okay, one more eighth I can see. Okay. Okay, great. Yes, the answer is node degree. Node degree basically tells you how many edges a node has, right? So that tells you basically how influential that person is, whether they have a lot of friendships or not. Okay. This is another question which I think you should answer instantly. So there is this famous small world experiment where participants were asked to send a letter to a certain person through their acquaintances. What is the average number of people required for the letters to, or intermediaries required for the letters to reach the target? Six. Okay, instantly answered. Very good. Others? Any other answers in the chat? You guys should answer this quickly. I also spoke about this in the beginning, so you guys should really answer this. I'll wait for one more answer because we need to go to the programming part. Okay, fine. Thanks, Shashank. Yes, the answer is 6 degrees. So there's this thing called 6 degrees of separation. The average person is separated from the from another person by 6 degrees. And there's another interesting. There's something called the Bacon number, and there's this actor called Kevin Bacon, and maybe it was discussed in your class, I don't know, but basically people say that he's a Hollywood actor. Every person in Hollywood can be traced to him through 6 degrees. And there's another thing called the Erdos number, which is this mathematician called Paul Erdos. He's written so many papers that every scientific mathematician can be linked to him through 6 papers. So yeah, this is a very nice, thing that keeps coming up. Anyway, okay, so next question is one of our code error questions. So I'll give you some time to do this. But basically, this is a file with edges of a graph, and each line representing an edge in the format of node 1, node 2. So edge means between two nodes, and it will be written as 1, 2 means it's connecting nodes 1 and 2. The following code is trying to plot the graph based on the data given, but the code might contain errors. As usual, write which is the number, or which is the line number which contains error. If you don't find any error, just put -1. Okay, I'll give you a minute or two. Please try to answer. And I want more people to answer. It's always the same people who are answering and interacting.
Like while we are going through this, can you explain the difference between strip and split?
Strip and split. Okay. Wait. I am not very sure. Let me see. Okay, fine. So in the strip method, I just searched it up. Strip method does it based on the white space or the spacing between the characters. Okay, so if there are, by default, if there are spaces, strip just doesn't consider the space. Whereas in split, you don't have to, you can put anything, right? You can also put split with comma and other things. So I just searched it. Here, so it removes the white space of the characters, and then so strip basically just removes the spacing, whereas split divides the string. That's what it does. So here you can see, so there's a nice answer here. Split ignores white space, strip first because they think it's cleaner, or they don't know the behavior of split. So you can actually do it without split as well. Okay, so this is the answer. Yeah, I don't know these functions off the top of my head, so I have to look them up. I'm sorry. But yeah, that is the answer. Okay, I can see one person says -1. I think 6 is from the previous question. Others, please put your answers in the chat. So, Shraddha says that there's no error. Others, please try. Okay, two people say -1. Maybe I'll go to the answer. If anyone else is answering, please answer. Otherwise, I'll go. So it's not -1. I can tell you that much. The answer is 14. Can anyone tell me what's wrong in the code in line number 14? Exactly. You have defined everything based on a variable called g. And then finally, you're trying to draw something called graph. So where will it get graph from? Right? It should be g here. So be careful. So I'm sure you all were checking all these for loop and whether it's doing correctly and all. But sometimes it can be as simple as a variable name is wrong. And these are errors which we make, right? We will do all the complicated things very carefully. And then we will define two variables with the same name and override them. That's very common, right? So be very careful while coding again and again, I'm saying. So these are the errors that you make. That's why it's good to identify these kinds of errors. Okay, I hope you guys understood this question. I'm going to the next one. Sorry, I'm rushing. It's because I want to do the programs also. Programming is very important. Okay, if you have any questions, please stop me. I'll stop. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is based on your area calculation, which you discussed in the lecture. We're trying to estimate. So we already discussed this a little bit with uh, Vandana. But yeah, basically you saw how area calculation can be done in the lecture and earlier in this class as well. So we are trying to estimate the area of a quarter circle which is in a square. Again, identify if any lines have error. If no line has error, put your answer as -1. So again, you can see this is your function to check whether something is inside quarter circle. And here is your Monte Carlo kind of simulation for getting random points. Okay, I don't think you need this image. I'll put this here. Please put your answers in the chat. Vandana says no errors. Any other answers? Guys, any answers? One more person at least, come on, answer. I know you're not sleeping. Error? What do you mean? Which line has error? Or no error, do you mean? In line 11. Hmm. Yes, I can see. I to say. Yes, the answer is actually there is no error, but that's a good point that that work. Does that work? I didn't notice that. So let's try if that works. Does Python read? I don't think Python reads, right? That. Sorry, one sec. Oh, okay. So, interestingly, Python does read underscore as a variable. So that is not an error. Okay. So can you see that I just gave a simple program for dash and range. So it just prints 0, 1 to 9. So that is not an error. Okay, even I was not sure, so that's why I checked it. Okay, great. So yeah, I also learned something through these classes. So yeah, there's no error. This is basically, I think you've already got the funda of how the area estimation is done, which is basically you go through, you sample the entire space with the number of points, and then you count how many points of them are in the area that you want, which here is the quarter circle, and then divide by the total number of area. Okay, so yeah, interestingly, you can call a variable as underscore and it still works. So that's nice. Learned something new about Python. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's go to the next question. I think this is the last question. Let's see. This is a multiple select question. There are multiple correct answers. And this is not you don't have to work anything out. So everyone please answer as quickly as possible. So we can go to the programs of today. Okay, Vandana says A and C. Others? Shraddha says A and D. Any other answers? A, C, and D. Okay, I think we can go to the answer. So all of you have collectively given the correct answer, which is at A, C, and D. Of course, this is a good method for irregular shapes. If you increase number of random points, you will get some improvement, and yeah, you will converge to the eventual value based on something called the law of large numbers, which is basically that more of them you take, you are approaching like a integral kind of way. And of course, there it is not computationally efficient for all scenarios. If I have something like a square, it is much more efficient to just calculate the area based on the standard formula, of course. But again, in irregular shapes, it's very much very useful, and that's what the irregular is. So, okay, I'm sorry, one sec. Sorry. Huh. So, right. Okay. So, yeah, okay. I think this is the last question of the day. Uh, Please put your answers of the chat so that we can move to the thing. Okay, Vandana says D, all. Okay, great. So I think we'll move to the answer because you guys already know this is all relating to PIL, which is your Python image library, which you have used for processing images. For example, Vandana used it when she wanted to look at the India map with Punjab, right? So this is basically about PIL library. Okay, great. I think we can now go to the programming assignments. Again, the reason I was rushing is because it's very important that we do at least, so I have 4 programs today. Let's try to do at least 3 out of them. Maybe not 3, at least 2 we'll try to do. And as always, I'll give you some time now, proper time to try to solve it. At least try to get the approach or the logic, right? And then you can try coding it up later. And as always, all the programs are available to you, but I highly encourage that you guys try it once first on your own, and then only you try to, then only look at the solutions because that'll be much easier for you to deal with. Okay. So this is the first question. Okay. So word is a string that contains one or more parentheses. Parentheses is brackets, brackets of different types. So curly bracket, square bracket, normal round bracket. You say that the string is balanced if all the following conditions are satisfied. When read from left to right, the number of opening parentheses should be equal to the number of closed parentheses. Opening parentheses cannot be followed by a closing parentheses immediately of a different type. Every opening parenthesis should eventually be closed by closing parentheses of the same type. So checking that for every open bracket, you should have a closed bracket also. So write a function named balance which accepts the string, checks these conditions, and it returns true if all the conditions are satisfied, otherwise it returns false. You can assume that the string doesn't contain any characters other than the brackets. Okay, so just to clarify it further, this is basically how your sample test cases look. So again, these questions which I share every week, they are last year's questions. We are asked to solve last year's questions. So it'll be really good because these are the type of questions NPTEL people ask, right? So you can see, for example, here, this is false because this bracket is not open, right? I mean, there's no corresponding open bracket for this close bracket, so it's false. In this case, you can see that every open bracket has a closed bracket, so it is true. Here also it's true. Here it's false because we have this one which is not closed, and so on and so forth. And here, even though we have open and close, they are in the opposite way, right? First closed is coming, then open. So it is not balanced, so it's still false. Okay. So I hope you all understood the logic of it. Basically, it's a string which contains only brackets, brackets of different kinds, and you have to check whether they are all closed or not. Okay. And if they are all closed and they meet these criteria, then return true. So it's a Boolean output that you'll have, either true or false. Okay. So you guys try it out. I'll give you maybe 10 minutes. Maybe, okay, I'll switch on my video again. I think internet is fine now. Yeah, so I'll give you 10 minutes and please try it out and at least get the logic, as I said. And after that, we'll discuss the answer. Okay, let's try to do at least this and the next question. Both of them are related. And the rest of the questions, as usual, I'll be sharing the programs, but again, try to do it on your own. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes. So let's discuss at 7:20. any doubts in this question? Does anyone have any difficulty to understand the question or something like that? It's just for you to check open and close brackets. That's it. Okay. And two conditions are also given, that open and you can't close with another bracket. You should close with the same type of bracket. Okay. That is the idea. You can't open with the round bracket and close with curly bracket. That's not allowed. And if any of them are not met, then you have this false condition. Are you all trying? Hmm. Yeah, you can use stack. That is fine. I think, yes, the solution we have also uses a stack. Yeah, I'll give you 5 more minutes. Try it out, and then we can discuss the solution. Okay? Okay, I see that Vandana has put a solution in the chat. Uh, nice. Okay, so if it as I always say, if it works, it works. So, that's good. So I can see that you defined each of the pairs together as a dictionary, and then you have made a stack, and then if it is opening bracket, and then after that you have popped it if it's a if the pairs are done. Okay, great. So if have you tested it? Maybe you can test it with one of these cases and see if it works. In the meantime, maybe I can also discuss the solution. Anyone else who's still trying, or shall I go to the solution? I think, yeah, let's go to the solution so that we can try to do, as many programs as possible. Okay, let's. So as you can see, right? This is too big maybe. Huh. So here we are defining balance. This is the function. So you can see opening brackets are all defined here, closing brackets are defined here, and this is our checking array kind of thing. So first we check if our character is in the opening bracket, then we add it to our list. Okay. Otherwise, one immediate false is if we start itself with a closing bracket, it's a false. As you know, the condition tells us that we should definitely start with the opening bracket and then a closing bracket, not the other way around. So if there is no other, if there's nothing in the array except a closing bracket, it is immediately false. Then what you're doing is you're just checking if you're taking C, so you can see that the opening and closing are at the same position in the array, right? Opening of O of 1 is the opening round bracket, C of 1 is a closing round bracket, and so on and so on. So you are just checking if at the same index in C, do you have the same index of O? So you're checking what is the last opening bracket that you had. Does it match with the closing bracket? If both of them match, then you can pop them out because we have already checked them. So we want to check. Okay, my internet is again fluctuating. I'm switching off my camera. So I hope I'm back. Can you guys see my screen? Hello, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. It keeps fluctuating. Sorry about that. So anyway, so here what we are checking is first we are adding all the opening brackets to the array. Okay. If we are starting with the closing bracket, we are immediately saying it's false. Otherwise, if it's not starting with the closing bracket, maybe I'll just put some space so you understand. This is another thing. We are now checking the same index for the closing bracket. Okay, so then we are checking if they match up. If they match up, then pop them together. You remove the opening bracket because we have already verified it. Move to the next character basically. Whereas if they are not matching, if the last open bracket is not the same, sorry, yeah, if the last open bracket and the is not there in the last close bracket or what or vice versa, then you return false, right? Here it's checking if the index is matching for the O and C arrays, basically. So then finally you just return whether the length is 0 or not. In between you have some false condition so that we immediately know it's false, we can give. Okay. So if the length is 0, that means all the pairs have been popped and it's true. If the length is not 0, if there's some open bracket left in the array, that means it didn't find its pair and it was not popped out of the stack. That means that there was no balance in the thing. So that's why it will give false. Okay, so let's try to give one example here. That is true. Let me just clear so it's more clear. Here, if I now give, should give false. And if I give something like this, that also gives false. So this is the logic behind it, right? So you can see that we are kind of adding all the opening brackets to an array, and then we are just verifying if the closing bracket is there. We are not adding the closing bracket also to the array. If the closing bracket is there, we are removing it from the array because that has already been checked. So we are popping it out. Okay, so it's a stack, it's like a last in first out basis. So that's how it is being done. Okay, I hope everyone has understand this program. Any questions in this or doubts?
Ma'am,
Yes, tell me.
ma'am, the first line, I mean, the line number 9 in your program, can you just go there? Line number 8.
Yes.
Ma'am, why are we trying to append that to the array?
So basically what this array is doing is it's collecting all the opening brackets. Okay. So then basically if it goes through the array, if it is an open, it's collecting the open brackets. Okay. After that, you're checking for the latest open bracket. You're checking whether such a that has its pair in C or not. So you can see that whatever character we added, okay, if it's open bracket, we're adding it to the array. If next in the next iteration, if I find a close bracket, then I go to the close array and I check whether this character is there or not. If the pair is not there, so you can see I'm checking with -1, which means that I'm collecting all the open brackets and I'm checking them based on the latest one, right? -1 means it will go to the end of the array and check. So I'm checking the latest one and checking whether these two match up, whether they form a pair or not. That's what this is doing. If they don't form a pair, already one of the conditions was that you can't open a parenthesis and follow it by closing parentheses of a different type. So if they don't form a pair, if there's one open and one close and they're of different type, then it's immediately false. So that's what this condition is telling me. Otherwise, I'm just popping it out. Okay, you can probably do it without storing it also, but the way it's done here is that you're collecting all the open brackets so that you can keep having them in one position. Whenever a close bracket comes, you can immediately compare it with the latest version of the array. If both of them are matching, then I don't need to write the close bracket into the array because I've already checked it, right? So I just pop out the open bracket. So it's like a pair of them is gone. They are verified. So now I can move to the next one. Does it make sense?
Uh, Ma'am, I think I need to go through this code, ma'am. Ma'am, is it possible that you will be sharing this, ma'am?
Yeah, all the codes are shared. I'm
Oh, sure,
saying
ma'am.
every
Then
time.
I'll check it,
All the
ma'am.
codes are shared in the Google Drive. If you want to understand better, one thing you can do is like when I was checking with Vandana before, just put print statements everywhere. Okay. If you put
Sure,
print
ma'am.
statements everywhere, what you'll see is that you can see what is getting added, what is not getting added to the array. So I'm
Ma'am,
telling you
ma'am,
what R does.
yeah,
Maybe I can just write here. It collects all open brackets. Okay. And then what we're doing is we are just checking if the close of the corresponding open bracket is there. If it is there, then I'm popping it out. It's already checked. Okay, if it's not there, I'll keep it in the array and I'll keep checking if the close ever comes. If the close doesn't come, then the length will not be 0 because there will always be an open bracket. Whenever an open bracket get a close bracket, I'm removing it from the array, right? So if something is not removed at the end of the loop, that means that it never got its closed array, which means that it's not balanced. The array is not balanced. If array had been balanced, then everything would have got its close and the array would have been 0. That is the logic here. Okay, but yeah,
okay, ma'am.
maybe you can go through it. The way to tackle a program that you don't understand, I'm telling generally for everyone, is always like when there's a loop like this, try to put print statements. Okay, try to put print statements everywhere. See that what is R doing, what is O doing, then you will be able to understand. Okay, it'll all be in the
Yeah,
Google
ma'am.
Drive. I'll share the link at the end. Any
Uh,
other questions in this?
no, ma'am. Actually, I was trying some other way. I think it's basically the same thing, but I
Huh.
tried it in some, a very simplified way. What I did was I created a stack. I maintained a
Yes.
pointer called top of the stack, and
Uh-huh.
whenever I saw an opening bracket, I pushed
Uh-huh.
it into the stack, and as soon as I saw the closing bracket, I checked the
Uh-huh.
top of the stack, compared it. If they are of same type of opening and closing, then
Mm-hmm.
I'll pop the opening bracket from the stack and move the top to the next bracket. Now in
Yeah,
this
so
way,
that
if after completing my entire program, if my stack is still having some elements, then I can say that the pair where there were some missing pairs or some missing
yes,
closing bracket.
yes. So that is
um,
exactly what is done here as well, right? It's
okay,
the
ma'am.
same thing what you're saying. See, O is basically all the open brackets. So you're only adding the open bracket to your list or your stack, right? And then if you find that the closing and opening are having the same index, which means that 0 and 0, 1 and 1, 2 and 2, that means they are of the same type, then you're removing it. So you're
Okay.
popping it out. So it's the same thing that you did. It's the
Oh, okay,
same
ma'am.
logic.
Actually, the way you are matching those things, ma'am, that is where I had asked you that I was struggling with the initial condition.
Ah,
I think that's
okay.
where I am having trouble.
Uh-huh.
Got your
So
point,
here
ma'am.
basically it's like O is all open and C is this closed. So you have to check whether if I'm putting O of 1, then C of 1 should also be there because they match up. The array
Yeah,
indices
ma'am.
match up. So that's why they're checking with the array index.
Yes, ma'am. Got
Okay,
it, ma'am.
great. Nice. Anyway, I'll give you all the codes are given to you. You know, sometimes, usually in these classes, I don't have time to discuss one of the programs that I've included, but I always put it still in the PPT so that you guys can, and I put the program also so you guys can go through. So please make use of the Google Drive, like, and show you now itself maybe.
So I have a very general query, like
Yes.
if we have the we have the interface like for checking by running the code or by giving the print statements there, so we
Mhm.
can check. But in the exam, when these multiple choice and objective, like they have given the
Mhm.
code and they are asking us to find the error, there we don't have this option to run and check.
Yeah, but you
So
have pen and paper, right?
yeah.
So you have to do it yourself. What the computer is doing, you have to do yourself. You do a print statement of yourself. Put start with some value. That's how I are actually supposed to do it, right? So you give some input and calculate it at every point and see what's happening. Imagine there's a print. You don't need print statement, right? Print statement is just to display. But you have pen and paper. You should try to do it on your own like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So this is the course page which I share at the beginning of every class, and I hope I get kind of sad when you guys ask, are the programs available? Because it's been 9 weeks. I hope you've been able to access them. In case anyone has not been able to access them, this is the Google Drive. The link is in the website, and I think PMRF, sorry, not PMRF, NPTEL team is sharing it with you. You can see that all the weeks have been divided up to week 8. Week 9 I'll upload tonight. Week 8, if you go, you can see program 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and the slides. So you will have all of them in one place. Okay. And the YouTube playlist also has all the videos. Okay. So I've shared the link in the chat. Please make use of it. Okay. We record all the sessions for you guys only. So let's do the next question then. If there are no more questions in this, you can try. Yeah, please let do the next look at the programs and try to do it on your own also. It's good because you have already made it to 79 80% of it, right? You recognize that you have to use a stack, you recognize you have to use this popping condition, you just didn't know how to match the brackets. So in that sense it's still good. So the more you do these programs, that's how you identify. Okay, anyway, so this is the next question. So we are going to continue with this bracket kind of things. We are going to consider the program about balanced expression we discussed in the previous programming assignment. So the one we just discussed. Now I'm going to give you a balanced expression that has only the flower brackets. Okay, so don't worry about curly bracket or the square bracket, and it is balanced. So don't worry about any, open bracket which is not closed or closed bracket which is not having an open bracket. So I give you a balanced expression only with flower bracket, and we are going to recursively define a concept called nesting depth. So nesting depth is how many nested brackets are there within a particular bracket. Okay, so for example, here you can see that within this bracket there is another bracket and then there is another one. So this has a nesting depth of 3, whereas this has a nesting depth of 2, and so on. So basically the nesting depth of a pair that lies within another pair is one more than the nesting depth of the pair that immediately encloses it, right? And so on. So for example, this nesting depth is 3 because it is covered by this one, which is 2, and then covered by this one, which is 1, and so on. So write a program. So the question is, oh, I didn't write the question. Sorry. Write a program that accepts the word balanced word as input and returns The maximum nesting depth present in the. Okay, so again, so this is quite simple. So here, if I had given this as your input, my output will be 3 because 3 is the maximum nesting depth I'm seeing in this particular case. Similarly, you have to write a program where it accepts a balanced word and only with flower brackets, so don't worry about the others, and gives you the maximum nested bracket which is there. Does everyone understand what this means? Any questions? I think it is related to the previous question, but not completely the same. So try to, match things with the, use what you learned in the previous question to get it, okay? I'll give you 10 minutes again and we can discuss the solution after that. I'll give you 5 more minutes and then maybe we can discuss the solution. Okay, you're able to do the program and get it? Yeah, great. That's fantastic. Okay, nice. Okay, maybe we can also go to the solution. So, right. So we have finished program one. So here basically, oh, sorry. This is the program. So you can see that we are checking for the depth of the expression basically. And we are first going to put it as 1. We know it's balanced, so there's at least one bracket, right? After that, what we're doing is we are again adding all the open brackets to a list again as usual. And if the length is greater than, if there are more open brackets than 1, then we, update the, whatever MD, which is the, most depth or maximum depth, to be the length of R. And then every time we get a close bracket, as we explained in the previous one, we pop the last bracket, right? So we keep updating MD every time we add an open bracket, and then we pop it. So every time we verify the close bracket and then return. So you can see that this is how you do it. Okay, so we can enter the nested brackets. So one condition that there are two conditions which I have not given here, right? I have not given any condition for if R is not 0 at the end, or if R is, having open or closed extra, because in the question they have already given that they are uh, balanced. So I know that whenever there's an open bracket, there's a closed bracket. That's why every time an open bracket is added, I can automatically add it to my most depth, right? Without even checking if there's a closed bracket, basically. So this is the idea. Okay, so basically, every time you reach a close, so if it was not balanced, then I would have to first check if there is a close and then only do it. And if it's not balanced, there is no idea of defining depth, right? Because there'll be an open thing without a close. We don't know how to define. So because in the program, in the question statement, they have already clearly given that the word which is given to you will be a balanced word. I don't have to worry about that scenario. But suppose in this, if I give, so let's try this out first. Something like this. So I can see that 3 is the maximum depth. But suppose I give something like this, then you can see that I get an error because it's trying to pop from an empty list, because the open bracket, there are more closed brackets than open brackets. And similarly, if I give something like this, you can see that it's giving 3 even though there are no 3 brackets, because it's assuming that whenever there's open bracket, there's a closed bracket. So in this program, I have assumed that the thing is balanced, because in the question they have told you that they're giving me a balanced word and then only checking. But if I are not specified it, we should check if it is balanced as well. Exactly, we can use a previous method to check if it is balanced as well. So that's why these two are kind of next to each other, and I wanted to discuss both of them because both of them are related to each other. So that's one thing, is that read the question carefully. So if they tell you that, for example, the word is balanced, then we don't have to worry about this. But in case it's not, then those other scenarios are also important. So I have not included it here, but you can think about how to make this program more complete so that we ensure that it is balanced also. And if it's not balanced, again, we can say that there is no meaning of saying depth for a non-balanced string. Okay. Okay, great. I think we have time. So I'm going to try to do the next question also. Is there any doubts in this? Any doubts in this program? I think it's very much related to the previous program, so you might not have any doubt. No, ma'am. Okay, great. Fantastic. So then let's go to the next program. Let's try to do at least this one. There's 4 programs I had today, but last program is easy, so you guys can see on your own. So this is a program which says accept or write a recursive function named power, which accepts a square matrix A and a positive integer m as its arguments and returns A to the power of m. So you all know about matrix multiplication, but here what I want to do is not just one multiplication, it could be multiple, because this is a power, right? So if it's A cube, I have to multiply A into A square into A, right? So A cube. So please try it out, everyone. I'll give you some time. So again, recursive function. So, try to remember, I guess it's like 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that we discussed recursion. So try to recall what recursion is and try to use it to your advantage when you write this program or this function. And as I said, programming and all the things you are learning are all interconnected with each other. So don't be like, oh, this is week 9. Why are we talking about recursion? Okay, everything is related. So I'll give you some time to try this out. Maybe I'll give you, 5-6 minutes, and we can end by discussing this program. What happened? Okay, okay. That is a message from before. I thought this is message sent now. Never mind. You guys keep trying. So are you guys trying? Did anyone get? Yeah, I'll give you a couple more minutes and then maybe we can discuss. Okay. Okay, I see Shashank has given an answer. Let's try to check it on. I think you gave 1, 2, 3, 4. Calculate 37, 54, 81, 118. And that is what you have also got. So that's cool. Very nice. How to use recursion here? We'll see. I'll okay. I think we can discuss the answer because Shashank has got the answer. So Shashank, did you use recursion in your program? Yes. Okay. Good. So let's see the answer then. So then we can understand how exactly recursion is playing a role here. Okay, so here this is just defining a matrix input, so we can get it in the basically the row format. We can get the matrix. This is just to define a matrix for. I spelled it wrong here. Sorry. Defining metrics for input. So here is a recursive power. So you can see here that we are defining this function power, and in the definition we have power, right? So this is recursion in action. Basically, to calculate a to the power of m, we need to first calculate a to the power of m minus 1, right? And so on and so on. So if I want to calculate a cube, I have to first calculate a square. It's that kind of logic which is there. So you can see that B calls power, and you know that whenever I have recursion, the most important thing is I should have some stopping condition. Otherwise, my recursion will go on forever, right? So that condition is this. When the power is 1, then it just returns A. So suppose I give some matrix with power 4, then this function will first look for A cube. Then to calculate A cube, it will look for A square. Then it will look for A. To calculate A square, it will try to look for A power 1. When it reaches A power 1, it will just get returned A, right? So then it knows that the recursion is in action. Basically, that's how it is in action. And this is just your usual matrix multiplication that you have. And this is your input and output. So let's try the same thing that your friend has tried. One second, let me just clear this. So let's try the same. So order of the matrix is 3. Cube, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4 cube. I don't know why my computer is lagging. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. I made a mistake. Okay. Sorry. Order of matrix is 2. Uh, uh, Order of matrix is 2. Power is 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see 37, 54, 81, 118. Okay. So do you understand how recursion is playing a role here? It's because whenever we want to calculate a power m, we first have to calculate m minus 1, m minus 2, m minus 3 up till m is equal to 1. Yes, okay, great. So I think, we have time actually. So let's try to do the last program also. Last program is quite simple. I mean, it's related to your assignment questions. That's why I'm saying it's simple. So I want you to write a Python code to find the frequency of each word in a given string, right? So suppose I have something like the cat chases the dog, then the is coming twice, cat is coming once, chases comes once, dog comes once. So you should print how many times each word comes. Okay? So maybe I'll give you 5 minutes to try this. If you don't get the full solution, it's okay. Or maybe I'll just discuss the solution. That's better because it's 7:53. Mm. Yeah, you guys try it for 5 minutes and then I'll discuss. That's better. Just try it once. Don't think it's very difficult. Okay, it's raining here quite heavily, so I'm worried about the internet. So maybe I can just discuss the answer and then we can close for today. So let's go to the program. So here, this is also quite a simple program. So here, you are splitting, so removing all the white spaces and finding each of them. So you are basically storing all the unique words into a string. So you're checking for each word in the string and checking for each of the unique words you're putting in the string and then basically counting. Not sorry, not the unique words. You're just yeah, you put checking there and then checking how many is the length. Okay. So essentially that's what you're doing. So then you get the, if you count how many words are there like that, you get the thing. So the user tests the code. Important point here is that you use this function lower. Why did I use this? Because if I don't use this, then this the and this the will be considered as different words because this is having a capital T and this is having small t. But we know both of these are the, it's just that this is having capital and this is small. So better to convert the whole string to lowercase when you're analyzing. To remove the case, I have spelled this wrong. Case sensitivity. Yeah, case sensitivity you're removing. Okay. So basically, this is what you're doing. And if you output it, so you are checking for each word, you're checking how many counts of that word is. So this stores all the unique words. Okay. So if I run this, you can see that frequency of the is 2, user is 2, tests is 1, code is 1. And here, because we've used space, they've considered exclamation point also as part of the word. So we can make it even more sophisticated by removing all the punctuation when we consider word. That's up to you. So this is a very simple like thing related to all the natural language program processing that you are talking about. Just wanted to show you that natural language processing does not have to be very complicated. We can analyze small bits of text in very simple ways based on what we have already learned also. So yeah, I think that's it. I'll just turn on my camera now. So that's it for this week. Okay, actually I'll share the screen because I'll show you as usual. Let's go to the first page. So as usual, this is my email ID. It's there in all the slides. Like if you have something to specific agenda to discuss, I'm always ready to discuss. The thing is that I don't always get time to go through all the program because I have to discuss this set of questions and programs. So sometimes I don't get time to go through the recorded lectures as well, right? Because I'm busy doing the assignment problems and programs which are assigned to me. So in that case, I might miss out. So better if you tell me that I have a doubt in this recorded lecture or that recorded lecture, I'll go and watch it in advance and I can help you out with that. So please feel free to mail me. That's the best way to reach me. Apart from that, I already shared the link in the chat. You can find all of the recorded lectures and also the codes, all the programs, all the slides, everything will be there in the link. Okay. So that's it for today. I think we can end the class. Any doubts or anything in the class?
So I should send that area calculation code to you in the email.
Yeah, it's okay. You can send it to me. That will be better. And then I can look at it also. Apart from that, I would say that try to get the original picture from them because I also don't have access to it, right? I don't have access to their codes or pictures. So it's better if you
Yeah.
contact them also. That will be also a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So I think we can end for today. Any other final comments, questions, queries? Yeah, I think I'll end it. I'm also scared for the internet. So that's why I'm trying to rush through this last part. Okay, then see you next Monday at the same time. Okay, please message me, sorry, mail me in between if you have any queries. Okay, I think I'm going to end this meeting. Bye. Have a nice week.